Welcome to Horse Sense, where every hoofbeat carries a story, and every flick of the tail hides a meaning. Here, we explore the wisdom, wonder, and history of horses. One tale, one fact, one moment at a time. Whether you're a lifelong rider, a curious mind, or just someone who loves the beauty of these majestic animals, you're in the right place, so saddle up. And let's discover what horses have been trying to tell us all along. There is something mesmerizing about a group of horses moving as one. No words are spoken, no instructions are given, and yet each horse seems to know exactly where to go, when to stop, when to yield, and when to follow. It's not random, it's not chaos, it's something far more ancient and far more intelligent. This is the secret world of horse herd hierarchies, a world where leadership has nothing to do with control, and everything to do with calm presence, emotional awareness, and trust. From the outside, a herd might look like a simple group of animals grouped together for safety or companionship. But inside that group is a living structure, a web of relationships, roles, and responsibilities that are constantly shifting, adjusting, and refining. Horses don't vote, they don't speak, they don't form contracts. And yet, they organize themselves with a kind of precision that modern humans still struggle to replicate in boardrooms, families, or nations. In the herd, everything matters, from where you stand, to how fast you move, to how long you make eye contact. To watch a herd is to witness an ancient language, one written in muscle, breath, stillness, and movement. Let's go back. Way back to a time before fences, before humans, before anything had a name, horses evolved as prey animals. And in the wild, every moment matters, every sound could be dangerous, every movement could be life or death. To survive, horses didn't become louder, they became smarter. They learned that order meant safety. In every herd, there's a rhythm, a pulse, an invisible flow that guides the group through the challenges of the environment, from finding food to avoiding predators. The hierarchy exists not for ego, but for protection. Unlike human ideas of dominance, horses don't lead by intimidation. They don't control each other with brute force. They lead by calm confidence. They follow those who show clarity. They respect those who offer stillness in the face of pressure. It's not a dictatorship, it's a dance. The lead horse is not the one who yells the loudest. It's the one who can walk through the chaos with steady breath and clear direction, and the others trust that energy. That's not dominance, that's wisdom. If you stand quietly near a herd and observe, you might notice something strange. One horse seems to move first and the others slowly begin to follow. It's not random. That horse is tuned in, attentive. Aware, she doesn't tell the others what to do, she shows them what's safe. This is often the lead mare, the heart of the herd. She knows the land. She notices the shift in the flock of birds overhead or the sound of distant hooves. She doesn't panic, she doesn't push. She simply begins to move, and the others follow because they trust her. She's earned that trust not with fear, but with consistency. Imagine being a young foal in a herd. You're born into movement, noise, and instinct. You don't understand predators yet. You don't know how far to stray. You don't know who you are, but there's one thing you do know: you feel safe next to that calm horse. That's the emotional safety the hierarchy provides. In the herd, every horse has a place, not as a cage, but as a comfort. When roles are respected, everyone can relax. No one is competing for attention. No one is trying to prove themselves. The energy is clean, clear, and connected. This is a kind of safety we humans have often lost and long to return to. Many humans misunderstand horse behavior. We project our own ideas of control and dominance onto them. We assume that if one horse chases another, it's bullying. We think that if a horse pins its ears, it's being aggressive. We try to be the alpha, a concept borrowed more from wolves than horses. But horses are not bullies, they're not soldiers, they're communicators, they're sentient, they're sensitive beyond belief. What looks like aggression is often boundary setting. What looks like retreat is often respect. When we watch the herd through human eyes, we miss the sacred subtleties. But when we watch through a quieter lens, through breath, through presence, we begin to see it. The hierarchy is not about power, it's about harmony. So what is the secret behind horse-herd hierarchies? It's not just how the roles are formed, but why they're formed. They're not about control, they're about connection. They're not rigid, they're relational. They shift and adapt depending on the needs of the group. A horse who leads the herd to water may not lead them through a storm. Leadership in the herd is situational, earned moment to moment. It's a social agreement written in instinct, not status. And that secret, that silent understanding, is what makes the herd so powerful and so peaceful. Before horses were icons of freedom, before they carried warriors into battle, before they stood behind fences or pulled carriages or met human eyes across wooden stalls, they were wild. They were prey, they were hunted. They were watchers of wind, readers of shadows, guardians of one another's silence. The social intelligence we see in horse herds today didn't appear overnight. It was shaped by fire, by fear, by survival. And what emerged was something extraordinary, a species that lives not through domination but through cooperation. The modern horse, Equus ferus cabalis, is the result of an evolutionary from the tiny Eohippus that once tiptoed through ancient forests, to the powerful grazers who roamed ice-age plains in vast herds, to the resilient, intelligent equines we know today. Horses were shaped by open space, predators, and constant movement. In the wild, those who didn't read the herd, who didn't move with it, didn't survive. The nervous systems of horses became wired for relational awareness, to feel each other, to keep harmony because disharmony attracts death. So while humans evolved to think, to invent, to separate, horses evolved to connect. As prey animals, horses don't have the luxury of waiting until a threat is confirmed. By the time the lion is close enough to see, it's already too late. So they developed an astonishing sensitivity not only to the environment but to each other. Because in a herd, survival isn't about speed alone. It's about synchronization. If one horse flinches, the others move. If one horse shifts its weight, the message spreads like a wave. The herd becomes a single organism, many bodies, one mind. But for that to work, there must be order. A herd that moves without direction creates chaos, and chaos is fatal. So over millions of years, horses began to develop roles, patterns, behavioral instincts that created structure so the group could respond fast and with purpose. This is the origin of hierarchy. In almost all natural herds, the leader is not a dominant stallion. It is a lead mare. She's not the biggest, she's not the strongest, she's the most experienced, the one who remembers where the water is. The one who senses the storm before it forms, the one who moves first and whose movement the others trust. She leads not by force, but by trust earned over time. Young horses learn by watching her. Others stay close to her during uncertainty. She doesn't command attention. She holds it gently, confidently, steadily. It's an evolution of feminine wisdom, not in gender but in energy, calm over chaos, presence over pressure, awareness over aggression. Another role evolved too, the sentinel. While most horses lie down or doze standing in safety, at least one horse stays alert. They rotate this role, taking turns watching over the group. This is not because one is more powerful, it's because each understands their place in the whole. This, too, is hierarchy. But it's collaborative hierarchy, a kind we rarely see in human systems. The roles are not fixed by status. They shift fluidly depending on environment, health, and situation. That adaptability is what makes horse hierarchies so effective and so gentle. In the wild, a horse with a big ego doesn't last long. There's no room for unnecessary conflict. There's no reward for dominance for its own sake. Every action is measured by impact on the herd. When a more assertive horse tries to push others around without purpose, they're often ignored. But when a leader calmly sets a boundary, the rest pay attention. This is not because of fear, it's because of respect, and that respect is not demanded, it's earned. Evolution didn't reward the loudest horse. It rewarded the one that kept the group safe, fed, and calm. What makes horse hierarchy so powerful isn't just order, it's social intelligence. Horses can read human emotion, mirror human breathing, and detect a heartbeat from several feet away. But long before they met us, they were reading each other. They understood tone without sound, intent without action, trust without touch. They knew how to step aside before conflict began, how to de-escalate tension with a breath, how to allow space for a nervous herd mate without rejection. This is the true intelligence of the herd. The ability to maintain peace without words, the ability to find safety through presence, not pressure, the ability to belong not by winning but by attuning. In a world full of technological noise and social division, the horse herd reminds us of something older. Something deeper. That survival doesn't require separation, that peace doesn't require perfection, that power doesn't require dominance. The herd lives in a state of constant communication. A quiet awareness of where everyone is, how they're feeling, and what is needed, not for one horse to rise above, but for the whole to move as one. This isn't just biology, it's wisdom. The kind of wisdom that emerges only when a species must feel deeply to live. What began as instinct became intelligence. What began as a reaction became rhythm. What began as survival became social grace. And this evolutionary journey from ancient plains to modern paddocks is not just the story of horses. It's a mirror, a reminder that true leadership is not about force but about flow. Not about control but about connection. Leadership is a word we hear often in human circles, in politics, in business, even in families. It's often loud, assertive, charismatic, and too often confused with control. But step into the quiet presence of a horse herd and you'll feel something very different. You won't see dominance. You won't hear commands. You won't find any horse striving to be at the top by force. Instead, you'll witness a kind of graceful clarity, a leadership built not on power but on presence. Because in the world of horses, the one who leads is not the one who pushes others around. It's the one who moves with purpose, without tension, the one others naturally follow, not out of fear but out of trust. They borrow terms from wolf packs, phrases like alpha, submission, respect through pressure. But horses are not wolves. They're not pack animals. They're herd animals, relational, emotional, peaceful by nature. The idea that one horse constantly dominates the others misunderstands their subtle, quiet culture. In truth, horse leadership is fluid. It depends on the moment, the environment, and the emotional tone of the herd. Dominance is not the goal, harmony is. So what makes a true leader in the herd? It's not brute strength, it's not flashy displays, it's a consistency. Calm. Awareness. The lead horse doesn't micromanage, she doesn't drive others with force. She doesn't startle or confuse, she simply moves. When movement is needed, she observes, waits, and when the time comes, she walks, not with hesitation, not with tension, but with steady certainty. And the others instinctively, naturally follow, because her energy tells them, I am safe, I see what's ahead. In the human world, we often equate leadership with action. We look for the loudest voice, the biggest gesture, the boldest move. But in the herd, energy speaks louder than behavior. A horse can lead without a single step, simply by shifting focus, softening breath, or offering stillness. The others feel that shift. They respond to the emotional tone behind the movement. It's not about pushing, it's about being grounded enough to invite others into safety. That's the magic of a true herd leader, her ability to hold the emotional center of the group. She is a lighthouse, not a storm. At the heart of equine leadership is one surprising and beautiful truth. The best leaders are the best self-regulators. A horse who reacts, panics, or becomes easily agitated doesn't lead, she creates confusion. But a horse who stays steady even under pressure earns trust. That's not control, that's regulation. The lead horse has mastered her own nervous system. She doesn't deny emotion, she moves through it. And by staying grounded, she gives the herd something sacred, a felt sense of safety. Horses never yell, they don't posture for attention, they don't try to prove leadership. The more dramatic a horse becomes, the more others pull away, emotionally and physically. In fact, in moments of stress, the horse who reacts the least is often the one others gravitate toward. Because in the herd, leadership is not about power, it's about peace. It's not about being feared, it's about being felt in a way that soothes and guides rather than threatens. This is a kind of leadership that transcends language. Anyone can look like a leader when the sky is blue and the grass is soft. But what happens when there's a loud noise, when a predator appears, when a foal is hurt, or a sudden shift startles the group? That's when the real leader emerges. Not the horse that panics first, not the one who bolts, not the one who drives others in chaos, but the one who pauses, lifts her head, and reads the moment with clarity. She takes a breath before she moves. And when she moves, it's clean, directed, intentional. The others feel her energy and match it. And just like that, the group moves as one with purpose. That's real leadership. And it comes not from dominance, but from deep inner stillness. It's the quiet one, the one watching, listening, the one who doesn't need to be seen but always sees. This quiet horse may not drive the herd in the traditional sense, but she shapes the emotional tone, she settles tension. She steps in when needed, not for power but for peace. Her leadership is subtle and yet profound. And once you've seen it, once you've felt it, you'll never mistake dominance for leadership again. In the herd, horses don't follow because they're submissive, they follow because they feel safe. They don't obey out of fear, they respond out of attunement. This is a concept foreign to many humans who are taught that leadership requires hierarchy, pressure, and reward. But horses remind us that the most effective kind of leadership is the kind that allows others to feel seen, secure, and supported. In the end, leadership is not about being in front. It's about being in tune with the group, the moment, and yourself. In the human world, hierarchy often means inequality. The higher you climb, the more important you seem to be. But in a horse herd, hierarchy isn't about importance, it's about function. Because in a truly healthy herd, every horse plays a role and every role matters. There are leaders and watchers, followers and peacekeepers, teachers and learners, mothers and protectors, sentinels and shadows. Together they create a living, breathing ecosystem not ruled by dominance but by balance. At the center of most natural herds stands a quiet, confident guide, the lead mare. She is not chosen by force or beauty. She rises because she knows where to find food during drought. She senses the faintest shift in wind. She notices tension in the herd before it explodes. She is not loud. She is not pushy, she is trusted. When she moves, others move. When she rests, others feel safe enough to close their eyes. She is the emotional anchor of the group. She doesn't force, she guides, and in her presence the herd breathes easier. While the lead mare may guide direction, there is often another presence, a horse who doesn't stand in front but who always watches. This is the sentinel. In many herds, horses take turns standing guard while others rest or sleep. But some horses seem to take this role more often, not out of fear but out of instinct. The sentinel is hyper-aware. Their ears are always flicking. Their body stays half awake even in moments of calm. They don't seek attention. They don't try to lead. They are the ones who stay awake so others can truly rest. This quiet sacrifice speaks volumes about how deeply interconnected the herd is. Much has been romanticized about the stallion, the wild, untamable force that controls his herd with fire and fury. But real herd stallions are not dictators, they are protectors. Often found on the edges of the group, the stallion watches for danger. He responds quickly to threats, chases off predators, and guards the flanks during travel. But within the herd, he's often gentle. He plays with foals. He defers to the lead mare. He doesn't control the group, he defends it. He is a warrior when needed, a shadow when not, and his role is vital to the herd's safety. In natural herds, age is not a weakness, it's a resource. Older horses hold memory, calm, and experience. They model stillness to the young. They know how to navigate rough terrain or avoid toxic plants. They may no longer be swift, but they are wise, and the herd senses this. Younger horses often stand near them. They mimic their movements. They absorb their rhythm. These elders are the emotional regulators of the group. The steady heartbeat in the background that helps keep harmony. At the other end of the spectrum are the foals. Innocent, unsteady, and deeply important. Foals are not burdens in the herd, they are mirrors. They reflect the emotional health of the group. If the herd is calm, the foals are curious. If the herd is stressed, the foals become jumpy and uncertain. But foals are also teachers in disguise. They teach patience. They challenge roles in safe ways, testing boundaries, exploring relationships. And they carry the future of the herd in their tiny, powerful hooves. While the spotlight often shines on leaders, watchers, and warriors, the followers are the unsung structure of the herd. They don't initiate movement, they don't make decisions. But their role is equally critical. Followers bring cohesion, they mirror calm, they respond quickly and intuitively. Without them, the herd would be scattered, movement would lose meaning. They are the fluid, flowing river behind the stone. Quiet, powerful, adaptable. Every now and then you'll find a horse who acts as the emotional glue in the herd. They stand between tense horses, they groom the anxious, they calm the overactive. These are the peacemakers. They don't lead by direction, they lead by soothing. They are sensitive, empathic, and deeply aware of social cues. They may not have formal status, but they hold enormous value. They create the space for healing, quiet, and harmony. In human terms, they're the ones who sense the room and help everyone breathe. One of the most beautiful truths about horse hierarchies is this: roles change. A follower today may become a leader in crisis. A playful gelding may become a guardian for a foal. An old mare may step into wisdom after years of silence. Horses don't lock each other into identities, they allow each other to grow, to shift, to transform based on what the herd needs. There is flexibility in the hierarchy because it's not about status, it's about service to the whole. In this sacred structure, no horse is useless, no horse is forgotten. Even the shy, the odd, the quiet, they all have a place. The herd makes space for difference, for rhythm, for emotional expression. A healthy herd is not one where every horse is the same. It's one where each horse is supported in being itself, while still holding the needs of the group. This is not just social order, it's relational intelligence, it's emotional generosity, it's what the world so desperately needs more of. In a world where humans argue, debate, and shout to be heard, horses do something radically different. They listen, they observe, they respond not with words but with intention. Their communication is so subtle, so layered, so elegant that many people miss it entirely. But within that quiet, a powerful truth lives. Horses don't need language to lead. They don't need They have refined an emotional and physical vocabulary that allows them to maintain harmony in a herd of powerful, sensitive, emotional beings. And it all begins with body language. To a horse, movement is communication. A step forward can be a boundary, a turned head can be an invitation. Nothing is random, even a flick of an ear carries meaning. When horses walk together, they do so in a delicate dance of awareness. Each horse adjusts its pace to the rhythm of the others. One slows slightly, the other mirrors it. One pauses, the rest respond. It's not dominance, it's attunement. They are reading intention, not just behavior. In human conflict, we often escalate to get our point across, but horses de-escalate first. When one horse wants another to move, it doesn't charge immediately. It may first pin its ears. If that doesn't work, it may lean in. Then a tail flick, then a head swing. Only if those gentle signals are ignored will the horse escalate to a nip or kick. And even then, it's rarely meant to injure. It's a conversation about space, energy, and emotion. Most of the time, the issue is resolved long before it ever looks like a fight. That's the beauty of their system. The subtle is respected. Yes, horses have conflicts, but in a well-balanced herd, they're brief, clear, and clean. No grudges. No prolonged tension, just energy felt, expressed, and released. A mare may pin her ears and move another off a hay pile. Seconds later, they're grazing side by side again. The message was clear. The response was received. The energy moved on. This is emotional intelligence in action. It's what allows herds to stay together without tearing each other apart. Because in a wild environment, lingering conflict is dangerous. It breaks cohesion. It creates vulnerability, so horses evolve to resolve quickly and return to connection. If you've ever stood among horses, you'll notice something. They know where you are always. They know how fast you're breathing. They notice where your eyes are looking. They feel tension in your shoulders before you even speak. Now imagine that sensitivity multiplied across 10 or 20 horses, all reading each other in real time. The herd becomes a living network of emotional and physical feedback. One horse lifts its head, another notices, the third shifts their stance. Like ripples on water, the signals spread. And without a single sound, the entire group can adjust direction, change pace, or calm down together. One of the most beautiful aspects of herd dynamics is how horses set boundaries. They don't apologize for needing space. They don't feel guilty for saying no, and they don't use violence unless all gentler cues have been ignored. A horse might claim space around food, a favored companion, or personal comfort, but it doesn't yell. It simply asks clearly and without fear. If another horse listens to the cue, peace returns. If not, the cue gets louder but still remains purposeful, never random. Imagine if humans communicated boundaries like this. With clarity, in many human relationships, conflict is seen as failure, but horses see it differently. Tension is not a breakdown, it's a message. And once that message is heard, the tension passes. They don't internalize it, they don't carry it. They move it. This emotional fluidity allows the herd to stay balanced even through friction. Touch is rare in horse communication and therefore powerful. Mutual grooming, for example, is not just about hygiene. It's a bonding ritual. It communicates trust, acceptance, and emotional connection, but just as meaningful is space. When a horse steps away, it's not always rejection, it's respect. It may be offering the other space to regulate, to settle, to feel safe again. This mutual understanding of proximity is what allows horses to live together in peace, with no walls, no rules, and no punishments. They feel their way through. If you spend enough time around a herd, you'll begin to change. You'll walk slower. You'll breathe deeper. You'll pay attention to things you used to ignore, like the flick of an ear, the shift of a shoulder, the soft sound of breath. Because horses require presence, they respond to what's real. They don't care about your story, they feel your energy, and if you want to be heard in a herd, you must first listen, not with your ears, but with your entire nervous system. If hierarchy is the spine of the herd, bonding is its heartbeat. Horses don't just survive together. They form friendships, they create attachments, they develop loyalties so deep that it can change the way they move, sleep, eat, and exist. Their relationships are not transactional, they're emotional, they're sensory, they're ancient. And through these bonds, the herd's internal structure becomes more than just survival. It becomes a family. It's tempting to assume that all horses in a herd simply accept each other. That proximity equals connection, but any horse person who spends time observing a natural herd knows otherwise. Horses have favorites. They choose specific companions, often just one or two, with whom they form strong, consistent attachments. They stand closer, they groom longer, they rest beside them shoulder to shoulder, they seek them out when anxious. They follow them with trust that goes beyond hierarchy. This is not just instinct, it's intimacy. One of the clearest signs of deep connection between horses is mutual grooming, also known as allogrooming. You'll see two horses standing close head to shoulder, quietly nibbling at each other's withers, neck, or back. At first glance, it may look like a practical act, helping each other scratch places they can't reach. But the truth is deeper. Allogrooming lowers heart rate, it reduces stress, it creates synchronization in breathing and posture, and most importantly, it reinforces bonding. These sessions aren't random. They're reserved for chosen companions. For trusted hearts, watch two bonded horses in a pasture and you'll notice something curious. They stand close, almost always facing the same direction. This isn't just a coincidence, it's an ancient behavior rooted in emotional mirroring. When horses feel safe and connected, they naturally sync their breath, their stance, their emotional tone. It's one of the simplest and most sacred forms of equine loyalty. Because horses form such strong emotional bonds, separation can be traumatic. A bonded pair pulled apart may whinny, pace, sweat, or even refuse to eat. Their nervous systems are so tightly connected that distance becomes dysregulation. This isn't a weakness, it's the cost of deep connection. It's proof that in the world of horses, love is not abstract, it's felt, physically, biochemically, viscerally. And when it's torn apart, it leaves a hole, one that takes time, space, and presence to heal. One of the most beautiful aspects of herd bonding is that it often defies hierarchy. A low-ranking mare may be deeply bonded to the lead. A quiet gelding might form a lifelong friendship with a stallion. An older horse may mentor a curious foal, not out of obligation but out of affection. These friendships aren't limited by social rank. They're shaped by emotional compatibility. This is a powerful reminder. While hierarchy organizes the herd, connection nourishes it. Strong bonds within a herd create stability. When horses feel emotionally connected, they are less reactive, resolve conflict faster, travel more smoothly, sleep more deeply, share resources more peacefully. In short, bonded herds function better, because when horses trust each other emotionally, they don't need to test the system physically. Their relationships become the invisible threads that hold the group together, especially in moments of stress. The same is true in horses. Mutual grooming, resting side by side, soft muzzle-to-shoulder touches, these actions heal. They regulate the nervous system, they rebuild trust after conflict, they comfort the grieving. In fact, many horses who have experienced trauma will seek physical closeness with a safe companion more than food, shelter, or freedom. That's how powerful bonding is in the herd. It's medicine. Some bonds last a season, others last a lifetime. There are stories of horses recognizing former companions after years apart. Of retired racehorses calling out when they see a face they haven't seen since youth. Of grieving when a bonded partner passes, standing over their body, refusing to move. This isn't imagination, it's a memory, it's loyalty. It's the living evidence that horses don't just experience emotion. They carry it with them, and those they love, they remember. If you could see the herd not as a group of bodies, but as a web of emotional strings, you'd see something beautiful. Some glowing, alive, others stretched thin but still holding. Every horse is connected, but some connections run deeper, and it is those bonds, not force, not control, that give the herd its strength. It is not the hierarchy alone that makes a group thrive. It is the loyalty within it. Every herd begins with a miracle, a shaky-legged foal taking its first steps in a world of giants. Wobbly, wide-eyed, fragile. And yet full of potential. Foals are not born with the knowledge of herd structure. They aren't instinctively aware of who leads, who yields, who stays back, who moves forward. But the beauty of a herd lies not just in its structure. It lies in how that structure is passed on, without language, without lectures. Without punishment, foals are born into an unspoken classroom. One where every movement, every boundary, every nudge and pause teaches them how to belong. From the moment a foal is born, its body becomes its teacher. It learns through touch. Through warmth, through rhythm, the mare nudges her foal gently, encouraging movement. She sets clear boundaries: this is too close, this is safe. She teaches patience by delaying nursing. She teaches confidence by standing nearby but not always interfering. These first hours are critical. They shape the foal's understanding of proximity, safety, and independence. Already, the foal is learning who to trust, how to ask, how to wait, how to yield. And all of this happens before a single word is ever spoken, because none are needed. Foals don't learn primarily by being told. They learn by watching. They observe who moves who gives space, who stands closest to the lead mare, who eats first, who gets corrected, and how. They see how the older horses handle conflict. They watch how trust is given and withdrawn. They observe every nuance and internalize it. This is social learning at its finest. No lessons, no grades, just constant immersion in a living system of quiet communication. At first, foals seem to play without rules. They run, they kick, they leap and bite and chase. But this chaos is anything but meaningless. Play is where foals rehearse leadership, submission, timing, strength, strategy, restraint. One moment, a foal may pretend to be dominant, initiating a chase. The next, it submits, rolling or backing down. Through this back and forth, foals test social roles in a safe, flexible way. It's not just fun, it's formation. They're learning what it feels like to lead, what it means to be followed, and how it feels to be pushed, tested, and corrected without fear. Older horses correct foals, but rarely with cruelty. A mare may pin her ears at a foal who oversteps. A gelding may block a kick with a sharp look or quick movement. A low growl or sudden movement may interrupt play that's gotten too wild. But after the correction, peace returns. There is no grudge, no fear, no shame. Foals are taught boundaries with love. They learn what's okay and what's not through consistency and calm. And because the corrections are measured and natural, the foal's sense of trust is not broken. This is a powerful model for emotional development. Discipline that guides without damaging. In a healthy herd, the foal is raised not just by its mother, but by the village. Other mares tolerate its curiosity. Elders offer quiet presence. Geldings may step in to protect or engage in playful teaching. This communal parenting spreads responsibility and wisdom. It allows the foal to see different relational styles, to learn flexibility, to feel safe in the presence of multiple emotional energies. It also mirrors how horses view hierarchy, not as a single authority figure, but as a web of roles offering support, boundaries, and guidance. By the time a foal reaches a few months of age, it already understands the essentials of herd life: who to yield to, when to stand firm, how to ask for closeness, when to walk away, what trust feels like, what rejection teaches. These aren't intellectual lessons. They're imprints: somatic, emotional, cellular. The foal's nervous system becomes tuned to the frequency of the herd. Its responses become faster, cleaner, more coordinated. It begins to take its place not through assertion but through alignment. What's most remarkable is how the herd allows the foal to develop its own character, while still integrating into the group. A bold foal may be gently tempered. A shy foal may be drawn out with patience. A playful foal is given space to explore. An anxious one is anchored by calm elders. There is room to grow, but also guidance toward balance. No foal is made into something. They are shaped, not sculpted. Their identity forms through interaction, not pressure. This is the mark of a mature social system, one that does not fear difference but lovingly includes it. As foals mature, they begin to step away from the mare. They interact more with peers, they test limits, they experience many conflicts and navigate them with increasing skill. These first steps toward autonomy are supported but also watched. The lead mare may intervene if needed. A bonded gelding might escort the foal back to safety, but more often than not, the herd allows the foal to learn. To stumble, to correct, to try again. It is through these early experiences that the foal becomes not just a survivor, but a member of the social system. The learning goes both ways. Foals awaken playfulness in elders. They soften the stallion's strength. They bring energy to a quiet herd. They teach patience, empathy, and flexibility. And perhaps most importantly, they remind the herd how to adapt. Each new foal is different. Each brings new needs, and the herd in turn evolves to include them. This is the living nature of horse hierarchy. It is not fixed. It breathes. In the open wild, hierarchy forms slowly, naturally, through instinct, observation, relationship, and time. But in domestic life, behind fences, inside barns, on ranches and pastures, that process is often interrupted. Horses are no longer choosing their herd. They're placed together, grouped by human needs, availability, or convenience. And still they try, still they whisper the ancient language, still they seek connection, structure, and peace. Still, the wisdom of herd hierarchy attempts to rise even in man-made settings. But in captivity, it becomes more complicated. In domestic environments, horses are brought together from different histories. Some have known trauma. Others have lived isolated lives. Some come from herds. Others have never truly belonged. Then, suddenly, they're asked to coexist. To share space, to form bonds, to behave, but without the natural process of introduction. Without the space to approach, retreat, and observe. Without time to feel. The result is often confusion, or worse, conflict. It's not that horses lose their instincts in captivity, it's that they aren't always allowed to use them fully. In the wild, horses use distance to communicate. They walk away from tension. They spread out to eat. They signal safety by relaxing their bodies at a distance from others. But in confined spaces, paddocks, stalls, small pastures, those options shrink, and when horses can't use space to manage emotion, they may turn to behavior, pinned ears, kicks, bites, aggression. They're signs of blocked communication, because hierarchy is not just who stands where. It's how space is respected. One of the most common triggers for conflict in captive herds is food. In natural settings, horses graze continuously, moving, spacing out, choosing where and when to eat. But in domestic life, food is often delivered all at once. In buckets, at stations, in piles too close together. This compresses the herd. It forces decision-making, and it tests the social order. Horses may push others away. Lower-ranking horses may not eat enough. Anxiety rises. Hierarchy becomes tense, not peaceful. What's needed here is not more control, but more understanding of equine needs. Multiple feeding stations, wider spacing, staggered access. These small changes restore a sense of natural order. As humans, we often misunderstand equine conflict. We see a bite and assume bullying. We hear a squeal and assume disobedience. We watch a horse drive another off and assume aggression. So we interfere, we separate, we punish. Or worse, we label. But many of these behaviors are natural expressions of hierarchy formation. They are part of the process, a conversation in motion. By interrupting this process too early, we deny horses the chance to work it out on their own terms. That said, we must also watch for safety. Severe imbalance, trauma-reactive horses, or too little space can cause true distress. Our role is not to control the hierarchy. It's to support the conditions where it can form naturally. In artificial herds, you will often encounter horses carrying trauma, horses who don't trust, who react explosively, who misread cues, who dominate out of fear or submit without clarity. These horses disrupt the natural flow. Not because they are broken, but because they have not yet learned to feel safe. The herd will try to help, some will correct, a few will offer space and softness, but healing can only go so far without human support. This is where mindful training, emotional rehabilitation, and trauma-informed care become essential. Because until the damaged horse feels safe, they cannot fully participate in a healthy hierarchy. In many barns, horses live in stalls, isolated for long hours, then turned out in pairs or small groups. While stalls offer protection, they also deprive horses of constant social feedback. A horse in isolation loses opportunities to read body language, build trust, play, set and receive boundaries, mirror calmness, learn emotional timing. When they are finally turned out, these skills may be rusty, leading to miscommunication, reactivity, or anxiety. Daily social interaction with safe, compatible companions is one of the best ways to preserve the wisdom of the herd. Despite all of these challenges, something beautiful often happens. Hierarchy still forms. A quiet leader begins to emerge, others fall into rhythm behind her. Bonded pairs form, watchers take their posts, play resumes, peace returns. This is a testimony to the resilience of the equine spirit. Even in confined spaces, even among strangers, even after trauma, horses remember the code. They carry it in their bodies. They pass it with a look, a step, a breath, and slowly order replaces confusion. As caretakers, our role is not to micromanage the herd. It is to observe without judgment, create space without chaos, allow time without pressure, intervene only when safety demands it, support the formation of relationships with kindness and patience. Hierarchy cannot be forced, but it can be facilitated. And when it is, even artificial herds can begin to feel like true communities again. Many humans report feeling peaceful around horses. Our hearts slow, our breath deepens, we feel grounded even without physical contact. This isn't mystical, it's biological, because horses are constantly scanning for regulation. They invite us through presence alone to settle. When we step into a herd, we are invited into a field of co-regulation. Not demanded, not judged, just offered. And if we allow ourselves to slow down, to breathe, to match their rhythm, we become part of the herd's harmony. At its deepest level, herd hierarchy is not about power. It's about peace. It is not rigid, it shifts with the needs of the group. It does not control, it organizes. It does not suppress, it supports. Every role is sacred, every signal matters, every bond is felt. And behind the movement, behind the leadership, behind the structure, is stillness, a deep-rooted calm that invites every horse, and every human lucky enough to witness it, into something ancient, something wise, something whole. Whether you're a trainer, a horse owner, a therapist, or simply a soul drawn to their beauty, there's a message waiting for you in the rhythm of the herd. A message that says, you don't have to lead with force, you can guide with breath. You can belong without proving, you can speak without words, you can create peace by holding it within. The secret behind horse-herd hierarchies isn't about being in charge, it's about being in tune. And if you listen closely, not just with your ears but with your body, with your energy, with your intention, you'll hear the quiet truth echoing from every step, every nuzzle, every ripple in the field. Stillness is strength, presence is leadership, and connection is everything. Thank you for listening to this journey. May you walk a little slower today, may you breathe with more awareness, and may you carry the wisdom of the herd with you always. Thank you for joining me here on Horse Sense, where every breath, hoofbeat, and flick of a tail brings us closer to the quiet wisdom horses carry. If this story stirred something in you, a memory, a thought, or simply a moment of stillness, let it stay with you. Until next time, take care and listen closely. The horses are always speaking.